Hang on. Yes, mate! The last cast! The Bristol Channel is an area for me that signifies unfinished business. Towards the end of last year, I ventured to the fast-flowing waters of the Somerset coast in the hopes of landing some big fish, but unfortunately, the Bristol Channel got the better of me. I knew, however, that wasn't going to be the last attempt. The Bristol Channel has now become a thorn in my side that won't go away until I feel I've properly conquered it. I've been patiently waiting for the tides, weather, and of course my life to all line up and allow another go. So this time I'm back and determined to come up trumps. The venue for this rematch? Layde Bay. The ledges of Layde Bay offer relatively deep water fishing at high tide for the Bristol Channel, with species such as cod, conger, hounds, thornies and bass being some of the target species known to be landed here. The target I had in mind most though, and the one that would probably pluck that thorn from my side, was a big channel ray. Back down the Bristol Channel for round 2, down at Layde Bay. This is actually a venue that me and Darren were going to fish back in December when we had our kind of big Bristol Channel trip where we came down for a whole weekend. But in the end, with the tides and conditions and the species that we wanted to target at the time, we ended up going to Porlock Mine Headway, further west down the coast. But it is a venue that I ended up doing a lot of research on, although I haven't fished it before. I've been excited to fish it for some time, so I'm back down here for round 2 with some making up to do. Now, we've picked a fantastic day for it. We've got some really big tides, of course, Bristol Channel, it's always a big tide, but a very nice strong tide here. We've just got here at the top of the tide, and we're going to be fishing it all the way back down and then back up, so we're going to fish 2 tides today. Alarms were set for about 4 AM this morning. We got down here for about 7 AM, and I'm hopeful. I am absolutely hopeful. I'm optimistic. Let's have a look at the rig, shall we? Martin, it's a sign. Take up golf. Right, so in the big box of magic tricks today, we've got one rig, or one rod, that I'm setting up with a pulley pennel. That has got a 6.0 J-hook on there. I think that's a Camazan, something 6.0, basically big J-hook Aberdeen style. And then the pennel hook is a 6.0 Cox and Rule surf and uptide extra hook. I do have some rotten bottom clips, but I haven't actually used them for my first cast. I'm going to see if I can go without them. They're good, they can be handy, but they can also be a bit fiddly sometimes. Obviously with the extra bit of mono that you've got to tie on there. And then on my second rod, if I can find it, I'm going for a dongle rig. Again, on a pulley, but that is a 6.0 circle hook with, of course, some nice strong braid on there and a dongle clip. In terms of baits, we've got a big box of squid, which is going to be sent out there with some cocktails. Predominantly, I've got one rod with some red sprat, which is just sprat that I think's just been coloured red. And we've got a load of bluey, which is my favourite squid bait, sorry, my favourite ray bait, obviously very commonly used across the Bristol Channel. And hopefully, these bad boys find us the target species, which is going to be a ray today. We'd love a conger, we'd love a bullhuss, but big rays is what we're after. Right, well, we're about an hour in, and my right-hand rod has just had its first bite. It was a little bit doggy, I'm not going to lie. It was a little bit like a dogfish bite, but it's a bite. There's quite a bit of weed actually flooding down the river, down the channel. There you go. So it could be weed collecting on the line, I don't know. With this ebb tide that we've got, there is some weed flowing through, but it does look a little bit fishy. Let's check it. Oh, I see weed on the line. Could be weed. Yeah, big old clump of weed. Beautiful. Yes, the highly sought after and ever so famous Bristol Channel weedfish. Gotta love it. So the Bristol Channel, I often feel, is like the whole area is a venue that feels like it doesn't want to be fished. Often the marks, the venues can be difficult to access, difficult to walk along, difficult terrain sometimes, and very snaggy. And of course, then you chuck in the tides, the huge 10, 11, 12 metre tides that you get down here. It can be difficult to deal with, and like I say, it just feels like it doesn't want to be fished. But the reason that obviously many people travel here to fish it, including myself, is that it does and can chuck up some incredible fish. Over the years here, of course, there's been some, and not just this venue, not just talking about Layde Bay, which is where we're fishing, but the whole stretch of water chucks up amazing cod, of course incredible rays, big eels, big bull huss, all that really cool stuff that of course we can find down south. I say south, a lot of people will class Bristol as south, but I'm from Dorset, so I'm even more south. Yeah, we can find a lot of those species down there, but there is something very special, something very rewarding, I think, about fishing the Bristol Channel and finding a fish with all its challenges in there. So hopefully that's what we're going to achieve today. I'm really keen to make amends for what was a fairly lackluster trip in December. Really pleased that we did it, of course, and it was a fascinating experience, I must say, and a big learning curve. Hopefully we'll get the better of Layde Bay today. So a bit of a frustrating problem, as you might see, that right hand side rod ever so slightly just tapping away, and I thought, oh, something munching on that. What it actually is, you might see it in the water there, little bits of weed that's still coming down on this ebb tide. It's thinning out, I think we're getting less and less, but it is still coming down the waterway and catching onto some of the line, which is sometimes tripping the leads and causing those little fake bites, which is a bit frustrating. But I'm hoping once this ebb, well, the initial couple hours of the ebb appeared to be the strongest down here, and then it just starts to you know, slow down a little bit, be a bit more manageable, and hopefully we don't see any more of that weed once we're a few hours in. Right, well, that weed has come off that right hand line, but it's still tapping away, so I am going to double check it now, just in case we haven't got something on there nibbling. You never know. No, it is weed. As more of the ledges became uncovered as the ebb tide progressed, I decided to have a wander down the shoreline. Firstly, to see if there was a good spot further on that would be easier to land a fish, should that problem arise. And two, just to explore this wonderful stretch of coastline. Right, well, we are about halfway through this ebb tide now, I would say. Just watching where I step, because there's some big old rock pools and craters in the land here. Halfway through this ebb now. The tide, you can't see it from there, but it's dropped about like 3 to 4 meters drop already. And basically where we are at the moment, if we were to land a fish, would be a little bit tricky. We've got a little bit of a path that we could make work, but it's not ideal. When I was doing the research for this venue, there are a few spots, and a few known spots apparently, where it's easier to walk down and land a fish if you need to. So I'm having a little bit of a recce down here to see if I can find those marks, and then we'll potentially move our gear up here. It's a stunning venue, really lovely venue. This actually top surface, although it's a little bit treacherous, and there's some rock pools and craters to keep an eye out for. It's a lot nicer to walk on than the likes of Porlock and Minehead and the areas that we fished before with the big boulders. I mean, this is like, it's like you're walking on the surface of Mars a little bit, but it's not too bad. And the benefit is, with all these massive rock pools that you've got, if you want to keep array, not keep array of course, you know what I mean, as in keep it in a bit of water to get a photo or whatever, then you've got lots of nice areas to do so. Let's have a look around here, see what we can find. Well, if you want evidence of the power of the Bristol Channel, look at that for a massive tree. I mean, that's about, I don't know, 20-25 meters long, and I would have thought probably during maybe a big storm surge or rough weather, mixed with the power of the tide of the channel, been washed ashore and beached itself. I mean, the camera's not going to do it justice, but that's a massive big old tree. Let's have a look at the terrain here, right? So this is what we're working with, really. I mean, this, again, that's a drop off of about, that's probably 5 meters down there, and the waterline of course is way out there, so landing a fish in a spot like this is not doable. But up here looks a bit more promising. Well, that was a bit of a surprise. Me and Martin were stood up on the ledge here, just having a chat, and a porpoise came right in close. My rods are just there, my lines are going about to here, and he came underneath my lines and then went off that way. So yeah, it's one thing I did not expect to see in the Bristol Channel. Porpoise. I didn't get any good footage of it though, unfortunately, so yeah, he was there, I promise. Right, well, we've decided to stay put. We've had a closer look at the ledge below us now. Now that the tide's pretty much all the way out, well, not all the way out actually, it's got a bit more to go, but we can see the sand, so we know where the edge of the cliff is, or the rock face, and we're pretty confident we've got a route up to land any fish where we are, if we find one, of course. But the ebb tide has not fished well at all. We've had no fish, as you would have seen. We know that intel suggests that the flood tide fishes better here. So that is going to start in the next hour, hour and a half, which of course we're very optimistic and hopeful for. We've just spent the last 20 minutes preparing lots of baits, but we're going to stay put, wait for this flood to start shortly, land some rays, get some fish. It's going to happen. I'm not being beaten by the Bristol Channel this time. There's something that perhaps those local to the Bristol Channel may have become accustomed to, or maybe not. Something that will never cease to amaze me, and something that on the few occasions I've fished the channel, I've had to pause what I'm doing to simply admire in almost astonishment. That something is how you can be fishing a raging deep body of water, and then in a matter of a few hours it will just disappear. Well, we've been sat patiently waiting now for probably a couple hours, waiting for this tide to turn back round and come back in, and it's finally started to trickle back in. We can visibly see it flooding back in now, and you can hear it as well, actually kind of starting to lap along the shore and come back in. So I've got tons of baits all prepped. I've got 2 rigs ready to reset, and as soon as this water comes back up to kind of the reef mark, I'm going to recast the rods and start putting some real effort into this fishing. The flood tide is the main kind of phase of water movement that I think we plan to fish today, fish it hard at least, and it's where a lot of the hope lies as well. So fingers crossed this afternoon is going to come good. With the tide fully out, the next couple hours were spent prepping baits, refueling and visualising the fish about to be caught. Most would either fish this mark on smaller tides or move to a different location, but with the time it would have taken us to move, and as we knew we wanted to fish the flood, we decided to stay put. Eventually, we had enough water to get rigs baited and get casting. Well guys, we have been fishing for coming up to 11 hours straight since we've got here and had lines in the water since about 8 AM. It was a 4 AM start. It's coming up to about 7 PM now, I think, soonish. So it's been a long day for not even a proper bite. We've not even seen a bite on 4 rods that we've had in, which, yeah, is a little bit frustrating, a little bit disappointing, and yeah, not what I was hoping for. There's still time. There's still, just as I say, over an hour or so of this flood tide, and we were planning to fish it till about 8 PM. So things could change if we pull out a ray or at this moment anything really. And I think it would save the day and make it feel all this effort a bit more worthwhile. But yeah, at the moment the Bristol Channel has beaten me again so far. On the latest casts I've just sent in, I've sent these in a little bit shorter. Now I've got a good idea, of course, when that low tide went out earlier. I know kind of pretty much exactly where that reef starts and the sand begins. I've plonked them right kind of close in on the sand where we saw those kind of sand dunes, those formations in the seabed, with the hope that might pick up, of course, still a ray, a conger, a huss, anything really. At this moment, a dogfish would be welcome. But yeah, I've had small baits out on the dongle rigs with the sprat and squid. I've had the bigger baits on the pulley panel rigs, of course, still going with squid and bluey. So yeah, we've had some different tactics all day, especially between me and Martin, but nothing, not a thing. We've had a few anglers up the coast. This morning there was a couple guys fishing. They packed up about, I think, just before lunchtime, just before midday-ish. I don't think they had anything out. And then a gentleman was down there for, I don't know, probably not even 2-3 hours, not long at all. Didn't see anything kind of come out over that side either. But yeah, just one of them days so far. Now I know I've said it a lot, but if you're not from an area that has big tides like I am down south in Dorset, you know, our big tides are like 2-3 meters. The fact that this water now, I know how much of a drop's there, and all this area here behind me is completely filled up with water, and that's about, yeah, it's probably about a 5 meter drop down there from the current water level to the bottom of the seabed. And I was walking down there earlier, just a few hours ago. It's crazy just how much water moves through here in quite a pretty quick period of time. Sometimes things happen in fishing where if you're going to write a script that followed the storyline of a Hollywood film, when all hope is lost, the world is about to end, but then Superman comes along and saves the day. Or Captain America suddenly has a bunch of portals open behind him. Well, Martin was my Captain America. Genuinely, as we were reeling in our rods to make the long drive home, Martin felt something kick back for the first time that day. That's not a bad ray. It's not a bad ray. Yes, mate. The last cast. Let's get him in that rock pool. A bit of a commotion. Literally, we're last cast. We're bringing our rods in to go pack up and start the long journey home. To complete last knockings. The sun is, as you can probably see, setting in the background. We're about to clear off, and Martin goes and saves the day. I'll let you grab your prize, your catch. There we have it. Martin's first ever Bristol Channel ray, his first ever thornback ray, and also the first fish of the day. First and only fish of the day, which is a monumental thing in itself. But yeah, absolutely stunning thornback ray. What was it weighing? 8 pounds?
8.11, yeah.
8.11 on the dongle rig. I mean, yeah.
Over the moon, mate. Absolutely over the moon.
Fair play. I mean, that's like 12 hours fishing today for, as I say, not even a bite. Now, Martin has got one rod left out, which he says he saw a little knock on a minute ago. So we've still got to bring that in. And I've purposely now left mine and not looked at them. So I'm half expecting a fish. But regardless of that, cracking fish. Well done, Martin. And he saved the day.
Thank you very much. I'll shake your hand backwards. I'm going to get her back. Yeah,
let's get her back. She's been sat in a rock pool for a little while, but we'll get her back now.
Excellent.
And with that, it drew to a close another Bristol Channel session. And whilst I'm truly thrilled for Martin in catching his first ever thornback ray, and a cracking one at that, my Bristol Channel thorn is still to be plucked. I am going to be optimistic though and say it does feel like the calm before the storm. Hoping there's going to be a flurry of fish. I've said it.